And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is Andy Webb with Lifestyles Unlimited, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. And I thank you for tuning in today. We talked last week, if you caught last week's program, we talked about income taxes. Well, this week, I told you last week we'd bring this up today. I want to talk about property taxes. And you have to understand that a very big benefit of investing in real estate, whether it's apartments or single-family rental properties. We do both of those as members at Lifestyles Unlimited. But a huge benefit is the cash flow that we create. As inflation increases, as our values increase, as well as that cash flow, right, the value of the properties go up. Well, along with that increase in market values, our property taxes do go up as well, at least here in Texas, the way that the valuation system works. And we can celebrate those higher values, but we have to protect that cash flow. That's one of the reasons we invest. And there are two ways to do that. There's increasing those rents. Those, like I said, those trend upward during inflationary periods. But with respect to your property taxes, you can fight those, and you want to fight those, whether it's your rental properties or your personal residence. We're going to talk about that today. How do you do that? And this will be a more or less Texas specific show, and this radio program plays largely in Texas. We do record this, and it is put out on the internet as a podcast as well. If you miss any part of this show or any of the other shows, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. There's a podcast button there, or maybe a radio button. You can hear those there. You can go out to your favorite podcast app and catch these there as well. But this will be Texas specific. Now, if you are tired of Texas property taxes, know that Lifestyles Unlimited has realty teams across the U.S. in a number of markets where both taxes, property taxes, and insurance are very, very low. These become a non-issue. States like Arizona, yeah, we're there, or in Georgia, or Tennessee, just to name a few, or many more beyond that. So you can go outside of the state of Texas and invest abroad, so to speak, if you want to get away from some of those higher, let's say, fixed expenses like taxes and insurance. But we're going to focus today, we're going to look inward at Texas. And we are in that season. We are in that tax season, that protest season, where the valuations have just come out. And I'm going to say it now, and I'll probably repeat this a number of times throughout the show because this is an important consideration. The filing deadline, if you're going to protest those taxes, the deadline is May 15th, or 30 days after that notice was sent to you. So the minimum, the earliest deadline is May 15th. I have a few properties, for example, where the notice was sent later. My deadline for those is May 17th or May 20th. It depends on the county, depends on their timeliness with you. But if you miss that deadline, you miss this chance. Okay. So how does it work? I want to just speak generally how the process works across the state. And this is done at the county level. You're going to receive that, and maybe have already received that notice of appraised value. That's what it says at the top of my Dallas County notice, the top of my Denton County notice, the top of my Tarrant County notice. And they set that property's value as of January 1 of this year. Okay, that's when they're drawing that line in the sand. And they're typically looking at both market sold comparables, meaning what has sold in that subdivision in that area leading up to January 1. And they're also looking at their own appraisals within their tax rolls. What have I valued similar houses in your neighborhood this year? What does that valuation look like? So they're doing two of those things. If you did not get a notice, it's either late, okay, it may still be coming. I tried to figure out Bexar County, Harris County. I got no information on their websites. I don't have properties in those counties, so I can't speak to those. But if you didn't get a notice, they may have left your values unchanged. If they do not change the value, they do not have to waste the postage sending that notice out to you. So if you didn't get it, maybe that's good news. If you didn't get anything, go to their website just to confirm. I went down to different counties, or did this online actually, and protested over 20 different properties last year by myself. You can do that as well. And here I have a notice, for example. This is one of my properties in Dallas County. They've put the value at $223,000, or $223,910. Where did they come up with that value? How did they get to that number? In order to fight that number, I need to understand their approach. And a lot of the counties do this with an algorithm. And you can formally request that on that same sheet that you send in for to file your protest, or you can do it online. I file all of my protests online. I don't do it by mail. And actually, you can, in most of the counties, at least the ones where I operate, I can download their evidence. I can see that online. I can get to their market comparables, the sales comps that they used to tell me that that value is $223,000, or the values on their own tax rolls of other properties that drove that number. I need to understand that. And then ongoing through the process, again, you may do this electronically. Most counties, with COVID, everything shifted into remote operations. So a lot of what we do in this context, we can do either electronically or maybe over the phone, or you can go, I do this a lot with Tarrant County, I'll just go informally walk into their offices off the street, so to speak, and just ask to have an informal conversation with one of the appraisers. I often get what I want through that part of the process, but if I don't, well, having filed that protest will ultimately take me into a formal appraisal review board hearing. That may be in front of 3 people, it may be in front of 1. They've tried to streamline this over the years. But ultimately, that's kind of my last effort, unless I want to take it even farther and file a suit. You can take that to review. Why do we do this? Why go to all this effort? Well, going back to what I said at the opener of the show, protect your cash flow. Just think about this. If you assume a tax rate of 2.5%, and that's on the low side for a lot of the cities anyhow, if you get out into the country, that picture changes. But in the cities, the tax rate's going to be even higher. But for easy math, assume 2.5%. Every drop, every decrease in that value that you're able to attain of $10,000, just $10,000, that saves you $250 in taxes for the year. And I know that may not sound like a lot, but if you get it lowered even more, you save even more. And if you have 5, 10, 20 or more properties, that really adds up. It adds up. And you can do this yourself. Like I said, I did it myself for 20 plus properties last year. But if you don't have time, don't have the desire, you can hire it out. There are a lot of companies that protest taxes on the behalf of property owners. I checked my P.O. box just the other day to look for my Tarrant notices. They were delayed. And aside from my notice of appraised value from Tarrant County, I can't tell you how many countless letters and postcards from companies that do this sort of tax protest. So if you're out of state investing in Texas, that might be an option, right? Of course, it's very easy to do online these days. A lot of remote options, as I mentioned, since COVID. I have not gone down to the Dallas County Appraisal District for years. I just reach out and talk to an appraiser on the phone. It's very easy to do. I did all of my Houston area rentals that way last year. Did I drive down there? I did not. Now, a common misconception I want to address at this point. People that are thinking, I might sell this property in the next year or two, have a fear. And their fear is that if I lower the valuation on the tax rolls, that will impact my sales price when I take that house to market. It will not. It will not. Please understand these are two different things. In fact, I might even point out, look at what I got that appraised value lowered to, future owner. That's going to help you in the long run. Maybe that's a sales point. I don't know. But they are totally different. Totally different. That will have zero impact on your sales price. We sold a house last year. I got that house value lowered significantly. Had zero impact. Zero impact. Now, where we are seeing some impact is as a result of the new legislation that you and I all passed or voted to pass in the state of Texas last year, and that is property tax remediation. And part of that tax bill was a 20% cap on non-homestead properties that have a value of $5 million at the time of appraisal or less. So if you think about your personal house, there's always been, if you have your homestead exemption, there's always been a 10% cap. That means they can't take that appraised value up more than 10% per year. That helps us as homeowners and taxpayers. But for me as a rental owner, it's always been a burden because I've never known, is it going to go up 0%, stay flat? Is it going to go up 10%, 20%? I've seen 80%. I've seen 100%. I've seen more, which is why we fight this. But with this 20% cap on non-homestead properties, and that is all of my houses. And in fact, I'm in a few smaller multifamily investments as a passive investor. Those all benefit. We now know 20% is the max. Now, this is a 3-year trial run. We'll see if they keep this around after 3 years. But I'll tell you, it does a number of things. It helps me, number one, it helps me assess my rental increases. How much am I going to increase my rent this year? Well, before I had no idea until I got the notice of appraised value. I had no idea. What's the impact going to be? 20%, 80%, 100%? Well, now it's kind of fixed. It can't go up more. My tax burden cannot increase more than 20%. That's good news. That's good news. Now, I've got a few of my tax appraisal notices here, or notice of appraised value here in front of me, a couple from Dallas County. I quoted you one already, $223,000. It's got two notations here. It's got the 2024 market value, same number, 2024 appraised value, same number. Okay, interesting. You may see that both of those values are the same. And here I'm talking about non-homestead or rental property. And the market value and the appraised value are the same. That means that value must have increased by less than 20%. Again, in the past, it was all over the place. So you may see that those numbers are the same. However, here I've got a property where they're not the same. Market value is $296K. But my appraised value, in fact, it says 2024 appraised capped value, 280. There's a difference now. That 20% cap kicked in. That means my tax burden will be levied on that 280, that lower number, not on the higher market value. Now that's a small spread between the two, 16K. I did have one that had a $40,000 spread. And here's the difficulty now for me to see any tax savings. I have to get that market value lowered below the appraised value. So below where they're equal, I have to get appraised value lowered to get the market value lowered to get the appraised value lowered. May seem daunting. I'm going to try it anyhow. And I have some good news for you if you succeed. So hey, stay tuned.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Want to retire in 5 years or less? You can do it, just like Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa.
So we started passively. It was on vacation is when we realized we really need to take the plunge and be more active in this. Just because I'm an educator, I wanted to really know what I was doing. So it was just education on my part is really big and knowledge. And I'm like, well, I could do that.
Go to GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Enter code 2024. Join and learn for just $297 with Lifestyles Unlimited.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy Webb. If you have any questions, send those to me at askandy@luinc.com. And today we're talking about that notice of appraised value that you got from the county appraisal district for your personal house or any of your rental properties. And the values have gone up, haven't they? Good news is there's a 20% cap for non-homestead properties that are under $5 million in value. Again, that's all of my houses. Gives me a little greater degree of certainty. And in fact, most of my properties did not even go up by that 20%. However, and it seems to be Dallas County in particular, I have seen a number where that 20% cap did kick in. Here I'm looking at one. I don't know why I haven't gotten the protest in the mail or the valuation in the mail. So I'm looking at the website. Market value they have at $266K, capped value at $228. So there's about a $40K spread there. To see any tax savings, I'm going to have to get that market value through my protest. I'm going to have to get it lowered below that capped value. And I will absolutely try. It may seem daunting. I've gotten bigger discounts than that in the past. You should absolutely try every year. But even if I don't get it lowered below that appraised value, that capped value, if I do nothing at all, I already see where it's going to go next year. At a minimum, it's going to go up to that $266K. I believe that's within the 20% increase. So I'm going to protest now in hopes of limiting future increases, even if I can't reduce the tax burden this year, because they don't reevaluate every subdivision every year. I have another one in Dallas County, for example. I did get it lowered last year, and it did not go up this year. It stayed flat. So not only did I see the fruits of my labor in terms of increased cash flow, protected cash flow by protesting the value down last year, but I see that again this year because it hasn't gone up. So how do we do that? I like low-hanging fruit, so we're going to start with the low-hanging fruit first. And if you're following what we do at Lifestyles Unlimited and you're buying right, you're buying these properties at a discount because they need work, you simply go down and you show that purchase contract. It's especially effective right now, given that 20% cap on increases. Let me give you an example. I have a buddy. He's got a house. It's under contract. And right now, I checked this. I was talking with him on the phone the other day. Looked at the tax rolls. It is on the tax rolls. Market value, appraised value, $300,000. That's around $7,000 in annual property taxes. His contract is for somewhere around $100,000. So he can take that down to the appraisal district once he's closed and use that to lower the value by almost 2/3. In effect, cut those taxes from $7,000 per year down to $2,300. It's almost $5,000 per year in savings. That's about $390 per month. Cash flow goes up. Protect that cash flow. And with that 20% cap in place, that appraised value can only go up from $100,000 to $120,000 next year. He's put himself in a very good position with that low-hanging fruit by buying right. And if you want to if you want to learn more about what we do at Lifestyles Unlimited, go check us out at lifestylesunlimited.com. I love that low-hanging fruit. That has benefited me tremendously over the years because we do buy right and we buy at such a discount. But this is buy and hold. These are rental properties. We keep these in our portfolio for a number of years. And after that first year, sometimes they leave it alone the second year. I love it when they do that. But by the third year, they're probably going to increase it. So I've got an existing property. How do I handle that protest? Well, we already talked about getting the county valuations. You're getting those in the mail now. And then getting their evidence and starting to poke holes in their evidence. Build your story as to why they are wrong. And sometimes they are wrong in their data, in the size of the property, in the fact that it has a pool when no, that pool was removed years ago, right? Or maybe a mistake in their approach. I have another example, a buddy with a duplex in Tarrant County. It's a duplex. But the county was reaching far beyond that subdivision for comps because it's a little bit harder to comp a duplex, a triplex, a quad. And they were reaching well beyond that area and finding nicely finished townhomes, not duplexes, townhomes, for their comparable sale, for their market value. They're two totally different animals. So you're looking for something like that, for example, and tear it apart. But you have to get their evidence to see what they used. Tear it apart and bring back your own. And there are really two ways to protest that valuation. And this is a very, very important concept to understand. And you'll see this if you look on your protest form. Here I've got it in front of me. Again, this is Dallas County. And the counties may use a little bit different language for these two items, but I see market value is the first box I can check in it is my desire to protest based on the following. Market value, check. Unequal value, check. In fact, there's a box under that says market value and unequal value. I always protest on both. I may later find that I can't get evidence for the one or the other, but I'm always going to attack both. What are they? What does that mean? Market value, it's important to understand the difference here, just conceptually. Market value is based on sold properties in your area, what we call sold comps, and condition. So your basis for protest is looking at their sales comps that they put together to determine your market value, and again, breaking those apart, right? Property condition, My property condition does not look anything like those houses that just sold on the MLS that were fixed up and dressed up to the nines and granite countertops, whereas I have Formica, right? Freshly painted, whereas mine was painted 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, right? That condition is not taken into account. So your evidence in this case, when you're protesting based on market value, it's what I will call better sales comps, more favorable to you. If you can get to the pictures and see what those look like and say, yeah, that one looks a lot more like mine, bam, there you go. Pictures of your property condition so that you can justify where your property looks nothing like the houses they used to come up with that $223K, right? Contractor estimates. Yeah, my foundation is out of level. I need to repair that and all the sundry things that come with that, sheetrock repair, etc. Maybe you don't really need that. Maybe it's not as bad as it looks like, but that's your story. That's what you want to build. In fact, I had a listener question on this topic. He said, hey, Andy, can I protest this year using the same deficiencies that I had last year? Well, yeah, of course. If you did not improve those, if you did not repair those, if you did not make any changes, absolutely you can. Again, foundation example, say it needed repair last year, and you brought those contractor estimates and those pictures of the cracks in the brick and the sheetrock cracks, etc., and you got your value lowered that year on that basis, you can absolutely use that again if you didn't do the repair. I would say, yeah, because the value this year is set as of January 1 of this year. Condition has not changed. But go out and get fresh pictures. They're going to want to see new dates on those. And I'd say get a fresh contractor quote because, among other things, we have seen inflation. Guess what? That's probably gone up, which will work in your favor. And here I go in with my story. It's always good to have a story. Again, no emotion, stick with the facts, but my story is simply, hey, this is a rental property. Man, I'm pulling my hair out here. The residents just are not taking great care. Now, as a footnote to you, between just you and me, don't tell the appraiser, we do follow the Lifestyles model. Best product, best price yields the best people. And our residents, they are good, and they do take care of the property. But I'm going to try to build that story, and I'll do that through very selective pictures of things that maybe look bad. Pictures in particular will help you build that story. That's part of your evidence. Other evidence, houses in that area that match my target value, my target equity figure, or my target desirability. And this usually comes into play when I'm having a conversation with the actual appraiser. And here's how I do it. You can do it online and just leave it at that. You can hire it out, like I said, but I basically have three. I think of it as 3 at-bats when I go to do this protest. And you need to think about this as well. We're in April. Protest window closes in May, right? Looking at the Dallas notice, it says that all deliberations will end by July 20th. So we're talking a couple of months of protest season here. But for me, as a rental owner, most of my lease renewals are in spring. This is a prime opportunity, if you have not already done this, to do a spring walkthrough, get some pictures now for your evidence. December's better maybe for that date stamp. And I want to do this anyhow. Before I offer my lease renewals, I want to check the condition of the property, make sure everything looks good. But this is my opportunity to get in or have somebody go in on my behalf, especially if you're out of the state of Texas, and gather that evidence. Plenty of pictures, but different content, not the pretty pictures. And if you really do have a maintenance item that you need to take care of, get those contractor bids. So I'm going to do that walkthrough. I'm going to get my pictures. I'm going to get into their system. I'm going to see their evidence. What do they have? What can I find that's better, more favorable? And here come my 3 at-bats. I'm going to file it online first. And I'm going to have the opportunity in most of the counties to tell them what I think the value should be. Very rarely do I have them accept that. I have had that happen. Easy win, low-hanging fruit. But if they counter with some other value, I'll decline. And then I'll just wait. And at some point, they'll tell me when my appraisal review board hearing is going to be. Sometimes it's a couple weeks out. Sometimes it's a couple of months out. But in between, like I said, I'm going to drive down to the appraisal district building, or I may do it online via the phone, and I'll do what's called an informal hearing. It's informal. Mano a mano, just talking together with one of the appraisers. And I'll present that evidence that I have. Maybe I've already sent it in online, maybe I haven't, maybe I bring it with me as a printout. But we'll have that conversation. And if all goes well, and it typically goes very well at this point, if you're persuasive and calm and not emotional and have a good argument and have the facts together, you'll get something. But if it's not what you want, you've got a third at bat, and that's that formal appraisal review board. But I will, personally, I wait as long as I can because I want you other rental owners out there to get yours lowered first so I have your data to add to my protest. So file online, get the process started, and then get down to the informal. If I like the results of the online or the informal, I'm done. If not, it's time to go to the ARB. And again, that may be 3 citizens that volunteer for this position. They're volunteers. Or maybe 1. 3 ARB, 3-member panel or 1-member panel, doesn't matter. I've had very good success, by the way, when it's just 1-member panel. But we're going in, and again, it's a conversation. There's some formalities to it. They'll have you state your name and your address and blah, 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 blah. Their appraisal will say something. You'll have an opportunity to speak first or let them speak first. I usually like to go second and have that conversation. And it's fun to watch these guys. They're thinking they want to help you, but they want to be above board as they can be. And there are steps beyond this. If the ARB does not give you what you want, there's arbitration, there are lawsuits, there are things you can do. I've never gotten that far. I usually get what I want. And here's very, very important. Just some general tips for you. Know what you want. What value figure, right? What resulting market and appraised value is ultimately going to get you to the cash flow that you need to yield on this particular property to meet your goals. Keep it realistic, right? The market is up, so we are fighting against those waters. But know what you want and ask for it. Ask for it. I find that helps. If it's the desirability or condition that I'm going in to fight, know what I want and ask for it. I'll usually keep that in my pocket till a little bit later in the conversation, see what kind of person I'm working with here. And I've gotten up and left. Come back later if I don't like that appraiser. But have the evidence to support your story. And again, that's the data, their data. And if it's other market data that you can get from other agents, realtors out there that can give you sales comps, or if you are a member at Lifestyles Unlimited and you subscribe to Quest, that gives you access to sales comps as well. Get that data, get those pictures, get those contractor estimates, get that county appraisal district info to use against them. It's there. And then go in, no emotion, calm, factual. And whether you hire it out or do it yourself, do it. Protest that. Protect your cash flow. That is the name of the game. That is why we are doing this here. So a lot of information. I have plenty more I could share with you, but we're running low on time. I do hope that this helps you in your fight with the county appraisal district. I'll tell you, I learned a lot about what I know about just managing my rental properties, finding houses to buy and renovating, and of course this very topic, protesting property taxes, as a member at Lifestyles Unlimited. And if you want to learn more, go check us out, lifestylesunlimited.com. You can go back and listen to earlier parts of this show if you missed any. Check our other shows. In fact, there's a search bar at the bottom. You can type in property tax protest or tax protest. You'll find a lot of other shows and a lot of other content out there as well. But I would encourage you, while you're there, register for the free workshop. It's done online, hour and a half of your time, doesn't cost you anything. You can learn more about the benefits of real estate because it is cash flow, it is equity, it is creating wealth, all the things that we talk about. You have that opportunity in front of you. You just have to grab it and run with it. Again, lifestylesunlimited.com. I thank you for listening. And remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. You have a great day.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.